boys put up a parking lot. What if you could choose exactly where your Colorado tax dollars go? Well, it turns out you can. You can redirect your taxes and preserve a community treasure. We're going to talk about this opportunity to support the permanent protection of Dharma's Garden through the purchase of Colorado conservation tax credits. A brief story about Dharma's Garden, many of you may know, but just so we're all on the same page, Dharma's Garden is located in North Boulder on a magical 5-acre parcel of land. This was once a sheep farm, and now it's a working educational farm. It's also a vital wildlife corridor for all kinds of wildlife, bird life, and it's a thriving center of social connection with seasonal festivals, parent-child classes, education for all ages, events, workshops, many ways that people connect with the land here. And in late 2019, the land that Dharma's Garden had rented on and we had operated on for 5 years was put on the market by the family who had owned this property for generations. Miraculously, the community came together to save Dharma's Garden. And by autumnal equinox of 2021, over 640 families contributed $4.5 million so that our nonprofit could purchase the land and get it off the market. That was only the first step. Our goal was really to protect this land forever. And a good way to do that is to put a conservation easement on land, because this is a binding legal structure that will last beyond ownership. So, for example, if in 100 years Dharma's Garden, the nonprofit, doesn't exist and someone else owns the land will still be bound by the conservation easement, no matter who owns it. And we worked really hard to put this conservation easement on. It does restrict development. It allows some development that are in alignment with our values, like our educational values, such as building an educational center or building a greenhouse. But it does prohibit subdivision and commercial development. And so the conservation easement values need to be upheld throughout time in perpetuity. So this was one way that we took a step towards protecting this land forever. We worked for 2 years on this conservation easement because we really need to plan out everything and anything that the nonprofit might do way into the future. It took a lot of work to think that through. We worked with other farmers, conservation experts, lawyers, ecologists, even CU grad students, environmental grad students, to help us envision how to do this conservation easement in a way that supported the nonprofit into the future, but restricted other intrusion or development. And we worked with Mountain Area Land Trust. They're holders of the conservation easement. They don't own anything, but they just basically own the rights of development. So you give up rights of development when you place a conservation easement on land, and you reduce the value of that land. And in Colorado, we have a very cool program where the amount that you've reduced the value of the land, that generates tax credits. Those tax credits are not really useful to a nonprofit, but in Colorado, you can transfer and sell these conservation tax credits to anyone, individuals or businesses, anyone who pays Colorado state income tax. So we have sold some of that initial amount, but we have $600,000 in conservation tax credits remaining. So if you were to purchase some of these, you'd be helping our nonprofit, and the umbrella name, official name of our nonprofit is Wonder Haven, under which Dharma's Garden falls. Dharma's Garden is also a DBA of Wonder Haven, so they're interchangeable. But you would be helping our nonprofit to receive the full financial value of the conservation easement, because we did, in a way, reduce our asset. Our land property value has been reduced. And by purchasing these conservation tax credits, you're helping us receive the full financial benefit of that decision. This helps us to become financially whole and moves us towards becoming permanently self-sustaining. And when you purchase these tax credits, you become a crucial part of the final chapter in saving this community treasure. So just a little bit, well, a lot, I guess, on this slide about Colorado's conservation tax credit program, because I just think it's really an amazing progressive policy in our state. And just in case you don't know about it, Colorado has this conservation tax credit program to incentivize private landowners to voluntarily protect iconic landscapes, natural resources, and the nonprofit is a private landowner of this land. And so we were able to take advantage of this tax credit program. And some of the reasons that Colorado allows this program to exist is because it protects our natural resources, such as critical wildlife habitat, which we have here on the land, water resources, clean air, and overall environmental health. This tax credit program also helps sustain agriculture and open space and prevents it from being just gobbled up by development. So it prevents just unnecessary sprawl and helps us maintain this like scenic open space that defines Colorado as a state. We've also learned that conservation actually supports the economy because it drives economic activity like outdoor recreation and tourism. And they have noticed that there's a high return on investment. One analysis found that for every dollar invested by the state, up to $12 in economic benefits are generated. Not only that, but the conservation tax credit program provides landowners with flexibility. It allows them to offset their state income, or in our case, in our nonprofit situation, we can sell or transfer these credits for cash. And this helps cover costs, helps families keep land, protect land, keeps properties within families, or in our case, within a nonprofit in perpetuity. And also, this tax credit program addresses a public priority, which is that a majority of Coloradans actually value conservation issues. And this tax credit program aligns with that public interest because it protects permanently pieces of land. This program has helped conserve over 3 million acres across Colorado since its inception in 2000. So we are really grateful that this program exists. So how does this work? Conservation tax credits are kind of like a gift certificate for your taxes. It's a dollar for dollar exchange. So let's say your income state tax bill was $10,000. You could purchase $10,000 worth of credits from Dharma's Garden, and then you would be paying zero in Colorado income tax to the state. And it's simply a form that you attach to your taxes. It's a pretty simple process. And just to clarify, we have 2025 tax credits, and we have 2026 Colorado tax credits. However, each of those can be used for up to 20 years past that date. So the 2025 tax credits can be used for the tax year starting in 2025 up to 2045, and the 2026 tax credits can be used for your 2026 taxes all the way up until 2046. So that means that if you were to buy more in conservation tax credits than you needed for just 2025, and you got these tax credits from 2025, they would roll over and you would use the excess in later years. And this is sort of a short time period that we're going to have these tax credits available. We're hoping to be, we will have them sold definitely by the autumn and likely much sooner. So you might want to think about, purchasing more tax credits than you need just for 1 year, because they are good for 20 years. And we just want to be clear that this is a purchase. The nonprofit actually has these tax credits that we are selling. This is not a donation. So while you are really supporting us, you're also helping us just overcome like a loss of property value that we voluntarily reduced to prevent development, but you're not making a donation. It's sort of like we're selling you duck eggs and you're buying duck eggs. So yeah, we just want to be clear, especially for people who give donations regularly to Dharma's Garden. We want you to know that this is outside of that. This is just, you would owe Colorado income tax anyway. You might as well put it towards Dharma's Garden conservation. And your purchase cultivates this thriving community. So you can feel good about knowing exactly where your Colorado income tax dollars go. It's going towards our ethical land stewardship because we use organic, biodynamic, regenerative practices to care for this land. And you're helping to fund programs like we just did a farm apprenticeship program last year, and we do nature-based parent-child classes. We do education for all ages, anything to connect people with the land, botanical drawings, soil health, willow basketry. We have many amazing hands-on educational opportunities here. You're also helping to support a local food system because we grow things here and then we offer it to our community on site. So you're helping us to keep that going. And also, you're just preserving a beautiful place in our community. And this is part of why we love Boulder. Why, it's not just totally gobbled up by development yet, but there are beautiful spaces and we really treasure this place. So you would be helping to support this haven of wonder. So how do you do this purchase? It's quite simple. You would just determine how much you'd like to purchase. I think we have a minimum of $1,000 just because it's not worth our time if it's less than that. But if you want to purchase $1,000 or more worth of these conservation tax credits, you just decide what that amount is and you reach out to me directly. I'll give you my email at the end, express your interest, and then we guide you through a process of purchasing those credits. And then you'll receive an official tax credit certificate from the state. And then finally, when you file your taxes, you'll be able to reduce your Colorado state income tax bill dollar for dollar. So that's one thing to keep in mind, is that you want to do this well before your taxes are due so that you have the certificate in hand once you're filing your taxes. And just to get into a little more detail with that, you first decide how many or how much of the conservation tax credits you'd like to purchase from Dharma's Garden. Then you get in touch with me, tell me the amount, and then you'll decide whether you'd like to pay by wire transfer or by check. If you choose to pay by wire transfer, then I will connect you with TCC. They're our tax credit broker, and they will guide you through signing the DocuSign. You'll pay by wire transfer, and then you will receive your tax credit certificate. If you'd like to pay by check instead, then you'll work with me first by sending Dharma's Garden the check for the full amount, or you can post-date checks, but we need all the post-dated checks to total the amount that you're wanting to get before we send you on for the DocuSign. And then once the checks are received and the DocuSign is signed, then you'll receive your tax credit certificate. And then you just file your taxes using the certificate that you receive. And it's good to make sure you complete this whole process well in advance of filing your taxes, like I mentioned, just so you for sure have that certificate in your hand when you go to file. So this is, to me, to all of us, maybe this is a no-brainer. If you owe Colorado income tax, you're going to have to pay it anyway. Why not put it towards your community and a place you love and a place you care about with values that match your own? So this is a no-brainer financial decision because you owe the money anyway, and you can carry these credits forward up to 20 years. And also you're having a lasting community impact directly where you live. So redirect your taxes and preserve the land and help us in completing the mission to protect Dharma's Garden forever. My email address is kerry@4kc.org. That's KERRY @4kc.org. And we will make sure you have all of this information in a follow-up email so that you don't have to remember any of this. Thanks for joining.